How's everyone? Okay, we in a new month. We are in the month of March, and March is a wonderful month. I just got through with my 50. My birthday was February 28th. I was technically born on leap year, and 50 feels great to me. I don't know why people get so bent out of shape with their age. You know what I mean? Love who you are. If you take good care of yourself, mentally, physically, spiritually, financially, put it in God's hands. However you age, you age. You know, I'll talk about that on another note on what I'm doing. But anyway, today I'm talking about Salt from Salt and Pepper, the group, the rap duo, or trio. I'm sorry, Spinderella. But I'm talking about a post that I just made a little bit earlier about them coming to Christ. Salt has always been with Christ. I know many years back, I want to say like 2006 when they made Stomp. I don't know how further it goes back with Kirk Franklin, but she's always been advocating saying she for Christ. And this is something I had said on one of my videos about celebrities coming to Christ. This is something that's happening more, and it's a quiet kept secret. Because if you know anything about Hollywood and the industry, a lot of them don't believe in talking about Christ. They don't say Jesus, something that they claim they can't say. So it makes it people difficult. Remember Kevin Hart? He always used to say, Jesus, take the wheel. They do those ritual things, and that's what I was looking at, that he doesn't say that anymore. Of course, you can't say it every time. But, he had that car crash, and after that, he stopped saying the Jesus take it. That was one of his rituals. But this is on another note. I'm talking about the celebrities that are coming to Christ and, being used to suggest that, Jesus is coming, the things that are wrong all around the world in the industry, that we've been saying all along, and people have called us conspiracy theorists. And so now people are waking up to the fact that these things do happen, that there are sacrificing. Also, Nicki Minaj has talked about that on Twitter, you know, about the rituals that they do. So more celebrities are saying things about it, and mostly black. Now we're talking about Jim Carrey. It's an eye opening thing, and that's what I say. When you come to Christ, He will open your spiritual eyes to see more than meets the eye. He'll actually make you see what's going on around you that you never seen before. Excuse me. So that's what I'm talking about. I think this is something also a way that they use. That we already know that the mark of the beast still hasn't been fulfilled. That prophecy, and you're wondering, how are they going to do it? How are they going to bring out the mark of the beast, where everybody's going to be good and thinking that we're good with Christians, that everybody's a Christian, you know. So we have to be careful. God said that we have to test the fruit. He's separating the wheat from the tares. And so just because someone says they're a Christian, we have to make sure, they're walking in his footsteps. And that's the most important part. We're not here to judge anyone. If you're coming out of sin, and you've gotten your life together with Christ, that's a wonderful thing. But you want to keep going in within him. You don't just stop. If you lose weight and you say, whew, I lost weight, you still got to keep up with it. You still have to continue with the healthy eating habits and working out. You still have to do these things. And that's what Christ is about. You can't just pick it up and leave it alone. You still have to get in with the will of the Lord. And so that's what I'm talking about. When you serve Christ, you have to get in with the will of him. You don't just stop it. After the pandemic happened, before people were all into the Lord, God help us. Then the moment that they stopped, and drop the curfews and everything. Everybody just let Jesus alone. They don't want to hear about him. And so that's what I'm saying. You know, God, you got to always stay with the Most High. He's here for you. He said he'll never leave you. He'll never forsake you. You know, and that's what we need to hear. God is definitely doing some things in March. I also got confirmation from another person who prophesied similar to mine. But, what I'm saying is just confirmation, you know. Definitely something is on the horizon, when it comes to things in life that may happen in this month of March. And, God only gives me so much. You know what I mean? When you're a prophetic person, to describe me, because I can't speak for other prophets or prophetess, with me, the Most High gives me so much. Everything comes with prayer and timing. And so with me, he gave me new horizons, to look out for things. We don't need to be down out in the dumps. I know I talk a lot about gang stalking and narc abuse, because this is something that need to be heard. This is something that happened to me, and when I went to make a legal police report, they act like they didn't know what I was talking about. So that's why I made it more on my channel, in case someone is dealing with narc abuse or gang stalking, how to kind of go about it. I still don't have 100% all the answers, but I'm still going through it. Like I said, I was wanting to do a video on it, but people get scared. They don't have what I have, meaning I ain't worried about it. It is gonna be what it is, and people get intimidated, and you can't do that. You can't let anything. God said, "You're not giving you a spirit of fear, but a power, love, and a sound mind." And that's what we need to be focusing on as of today. Cast your fears to Him. Let God deliver you and heal you with the Holy Ghost of Jesus Christ. And some people don't understand it. This is a time where you have to test people out. You know, some people, just because they say they love God, it's only to an extent. It's all about how much money is going in their bank account, how much money in their cash app. They don't really care about you. And that's where you got to have that fellowship with Him. When God is calling you and He's showing you love, you don't need no love from nobody else. And I'm not saying separate and isolate from people. If somebody doing you good, stay with them. You know what I mean? But what I talk about in my channel as far as targeting go, how to deal with people. Because, a lot of times, some of you that have been targeted, get a bit clingy. And so you don't want to do that. Love people. In the Bible, it says those who always at their neighbor's house, they begin to hate you in the Proverbs. So you don't want that. We just give people their space, understand what they're saying. If you don't know, ask what's being said. And so I say this just to encourage people, that you still can have relationships and fellowship with people when you've been targeted. But you just have to know how to move around them, know who's for you and know who's against you. Because some people, they say they for you, but they could be against you. And that's all I'm saying. We ain't panicking. We ain't scared. We just letting the facts be known that we're in a fight for Christ. And you being targeted, it's just something that the enemy's trying to keep you about. He knows that you know the truth, and the truth will set you free. And some people are scared of the truth, and you don't have to be. If God is calling you to give a word, then give it. He and His angels will be protecting you. So don't let anybody stop you. March is definitely a month of prosperity, I believe, and I ain't just talking it. I'm trying to get a fellowship with the people. Don't give up on churches. People keep saying, churches in the home. There's some places that disappointed me, but you know what? At the end of the day, there's some that didn't. They preach everything that need to be said. They did what they need to do to let me know that I'm a member. You know what I mean? And that's what matters. You can't always get everything the way you want it. Can't always get it. And that's because you're always going to need Christ. You can't live without him. You cannot live your life without the Most High Yahweh. And so that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to get too spiritually deep, but, it's March. I haven't been on. It's been a minute because, I'm trying to get some things together. Material. I'm definitely trying to work on something so I can like visualize and talk to you all. It's been something, and with all the other things that I have going on, you got to pray for me. Sometimes I'm kind of timid on taking risks because I don't know how things work. So I gotta make sure I get my devices together so I can interact with people, and get some things off my channel. I've already had stated there was something going on with my cell phone service, and I've called about it. And that's mainly what it is, so I can really interact with people because my channel ain't going like everybody else. I can't see anybody in my chat or anyone. That's really why I don't get on as much until, it's been handled legally, because I've already said some things been going on. Even when I'm talking on the phone, that somebody's voice was on my channel, and I mean, not on my channel, I'm sorry. It was on my phone, even when I was on Twitter. Like, that's the targeting thing of them trying to get you to not, participate. And let me tell you something. You're never needing to end your life. Please live, you know. Whatever's trying to trouble you isn't worth it. Live your life. Don't ever let Satan take that from you. Whatever you're going through, just know that tomorrow brings a better day. And I mean it. It may not be your 100 day, but it's going to be better than tomorrow of letting other people try to misuse you, mistreat you in the system. And that's where I want to put more eyes on that, because I'm not a part of Freemason or anybody else. Pretty much, I don't get no help, including with the government. Everything is on me. So, you know what I mean? For those who keep saying they my friend, my ex-boyfriends or anything, they ain't. My circle is very small, very small. You can count on one hand. So you know what I mean? So I try to tell my audience just in case someone's sitting there trying to encounter with you. You know what I mean? Because a lot of people don't know me. And the ones that did, they didn't do me right. You know what I mean? So we all have that in targeting, but you still look, God still can give you ordained relationships, people who are going to love you and treat you in a good way. You don't have to put up with it. See, these narcissists think that I could just do anything to you and you're going to come running back to us. No. Hey, it's been nice. I slept outside before I get into bed with someone. And that's true because I'm a righteous child of Yahweh. I'm celibate until somebody put the ring on the finger. If he ain't no ring, you ain't getting nothing. I mean that. We gotta be right with God, and when He's telling you to be obedient, obedient is better than sacrifice. You're selling yourself short. A lot of these men, they know if they can get it on the first day. You know, some of them I won't say because I married a guy. Let me quit saying that, but some of them believe if I can get it on the first day, then any man can get it. You got to get away from those kind of men that try to train you and play mind games with you. That's it. It don't take nothing to say I like you or I don't. And that's what you need to find. Someone that's willing to like you and accept you for who you is. If you telling me I don't have a big butt and I can't just make it grow out of nowhere, you obviously don't like me. So, and no one has said that, by the way. But I'm just saying, if someone would say that to a sister or so forth, we got to learn to have integrity, love ourselves for who we are, and stop spending money on these surgeries. If something isn't major has happening to you, there's things we can do. I'm going to get back into fitness because I tell you, this what got me targeted. When I start working on my body, do my glutes and things like that. So it could be done. I just choose not to because all this happened. You know what I'm saying? So you can take care of yourself and be healthy. But the best part of taking care of yourself is mentally. You know, you have to have peace and clarity. And that's what Christ does for you. Hey, everybody coming into the chat. You know, you have to have peace and clarity and in your mind. This is what makes you a good wife or a husband. You have to be clearly thinking. And it only starts with Christ. He gives you the mind to live, to know how you need to live. You understand? I'm great. Thanks for talking. I'm talking in the chat. But I'm trying to get people an education on what's, you know, of course, a man loves a beautiful woman, but she has to have something else to it. She has to have a mind state. She has to have a mind state to know that even though I'm attractive, I don't hop in everybody's bed. She has to have a mind state to say, hey, you know what? You know, I don't allow you to treat me this kind of way. She has to have that going on with her good looks, because that's what makes a real woman. That I can tell a man what I'm wanting. You understand? Because men don't know. They just looking at the body like, hey, hey, hey. But when you're telling them, this is what I'm expecting of you, men adore that. They do. If they don't adore it, then they're not the ones for you. And if the men that adore it, they gonna want to know more. What else can I do to make you happy? What else? We're talking about men, real righteous men. We ain't talking about, you know, these little baby daddies and stuff. We're talking about real men who love women. And so that's what I'm saying. That we have to have standards. We have to love ourselves. Even if you ain't got nobody at home. You know, loving yourself is one of the most beautiful things to treasure. That way you're not lonely. That way you're not desperate. You don't want to be desperate. You want to be loving yourself and being who you are, you know. And being a Christian is intimidating to people like me. And I tell you, the only thing that's intimidating about it is the fact, what I learned, because I get along with just about anybody. But if I'm intimidating to you, that means that either one or two things are happening. Either you have low self-esteem or you up to no good. That's what I find about people who are intimidated about me. They start getting nervous. You know, it was like Jesus in the cool of the day. Well, I'm just telling you the truth. So, you know, it says options on Jeffrey Epstein. What options? What about options on Jeffrey Epstein? Well, Jeffrey Epstein was just taking the bait for everybody. That's what I believe, for his resorts and everything that he had. You know, there's been stated, you know, that they have the false doctrine of what they're doing. They're trying to misuse children and rituals to keep, you know, to keep their standstills, their riches. This is a cultural thing, mostly in the Freemason that they don't mention. I think George Washington was a Freemason, but some of them carry those rituals down. They believe sacrifices women and kids and children brings keep their riches, and it doesn't. Even if it does, it'll take their power. If they're going against a Christian, it'll take their powers away. You're never needing to do that. That's what Jesus had died for. You never need to sacrifice a person or a thing when it comes to keeping your riches. If you serve Christ, he will protect you. You know, the man that walked away from Jesus, that didn't want to give up his riches. And after he walked away, they said if he would have just stayed with him, he would have had double of what he had. So you can't rely on money. You can only serve one God. And, you know, when you're fearing like that, Satan is aware of that. And so you can't do rituals. If you serve Christ, if you give to the poor, that's what was stated. When you give to the poor, feed them, clothe them, and house them, that's what brings you money, if you really want to try it. A lot of content creators put that on there, like Kevin L.A. Ewing. And so you use wisdom. You would go to the Lord and ask, where should I give? Don't just give because you don't want it on stony ground. I had that happen. Let's see. It says Andre says Ecclesiastes is the best book in the Bible. Prove me wrong. Well, I like all parts of the Bible, but it's wisdom. When I read Ecclesiastic, there's very wise things in there, and that's why I like it. You know, I believe that wisdom is, and then the Bible in Proverbs it says it's her. It's a her. And just by being wise, it helps us understand what we need to be doing and what's a cliche and what's not. And so I love all parts of the Bible, child. You know what I mean? I love reading, and it's a disappointment that I was about to get this class in. I was really looking into that, but like I said, I don't do targeting. I don't do it. I don't do it. And people ain't apologize. This is something that was going to elevate me for Christ in my teachings, but I get it somewhere else. You know. Any other questions? That's all. But I'm just saying, when I see celebrities come out and talk about Christ and talk about what's going on, it's great because that means that there's others. They're not just sitting there in Hollywood living in La La Land. There's some people who are aware, and they withheld saying what was true because of being deemed. How the ones that are higher at the top, the elite, they can blackball you for saying what she said. But she believed in her faith in Christ, and that's what it is. Is it wrong to listen to King Von, the Christian? Well, it's best. And me personally, I have issue with music because a lot of times God can talk to you through certain music. I learned with you all, it's best not. Now sometimes when I work out, I'll listen to T.I. and some forth things like that. I'm not gonna lie to y'all, but it's best to get Christian rap. There's other artists out here, like King Connect. He is one of the dopest Christian rappers, or Lecrae. You know what I mean, on YouTube. King Connect is on YouTube. He's one of the doper ones. So if you want looking for some rap that still go hard, I would say my boy King Connect. You know, but Vaughn and them, they have a spirit of death over them. You know, they have passed away violently. So the energy you can hear them, but never do. That's how I say it. You can go to the Lord for it because He may not want you to. You know what I mean? But me, I can go and I have the anointed to hear what's being said, understand, and let it go. I don't, that's the anointing I have in me. But I'm not going to tell you what to do because everything has its timing. You know. It says I only have 15 subscribers. Oh, who are you? Now, when it comes to me, I usually subscribe to people, but I have to be leery because I had some things being done on my channel. So maybe after I log off, I can see who you are. If you good, then I'll subscribe. But I usually have to wait now because of the targeting, because people keep trying to get on here, say things they shouldn't say, because I'm trying to come out of the target. It says, Andre says, my cousin saw him getting dropped a while back when he died. Oh, you talking about Vahan? Well, that's sad. That's a very sad thing. I mean, you know. That's why I'm saying you got to be careful. You have to ask the Lord, should I be around these people? Because some people could be getting a judgment, just like in Deuteronomy. God told people to stay away from people. And when obedience is definitely better than sacrifice. If God telling you and you don't feel good about being around that person, get away from them. You'll start feeling anxiety. That's a sign that God is trying to tell you, get away from that person. Don't say nothing. Just get away. You know what I mean? If everything good later on, call them and say, man, I didn't feel good. I left. You don't got to go to details because your life is more precious. And that's how so many people have died hanging around people they don't need to hang around. Just, sometimes it's just for a season. It's just for a season. Everybody don't need to be hanging around every day. Lord knows I'm like that. My family members, some of them I love them. Some of them, you know what? Peace. And I talk about that with Judas. You know. Yeah. Okay. Well, like I said, I still have to check who's who, because things been happening on my channel, and I'm trying to get rid of these people who keep trying to be here that don't belong here. You know, some games that play says Trump pissed me off with that. I said, okay, well, Trump isn't the King of Kings, the Lord of Lords. He gonna do some things that tick people off. You know, there's no one person that actually say, I love the president. That's why you got to serve Christ. Go to the Most High with it. Still pray for your presidents, and know that God, or your rulers, and God will take care. He'll take care of you. You know what I mean? Because God doesn't want you to lean on Trump. He wants you to lean on him. Now, he's your ruler. He's your leader, but, you can still pray and ask God to help you. And that's why we have the government. A lot of times people don't know how to move. You know what I mean? They don't know how to move around just serving Christ. You know what I mean? Just thinking for themselves. And that's where we have the government. Because people don't make wise decisions. When people be seeing stuff in our communities happen, they don't say nothing to these thugs. You know what I mean? So that's where now they have to take place and make these laws. When you're sitting in the community, you see the stuff going on and you don't report it, you don't do nothing. And that's why we have the government. Because you see, you got somebody else trying to tell you what to do in your own community. And you don't see that in the white communities. Shoot, they sure be sitting out there yelling and hollering, screaming. You know what I mean? Y'all don't do nothing. Y'all just like, oh well. Some of y'all just be sitting here, just, that might just flash you a couple hundreds. Yeah. Oh, well, I don't see nothing. Say something, see nothing. You know what I mean? All right, well, I'm just in this live. I just wanted to chime in a bit because I ain't been on, and I'm talking about Salt from Salt and Pepper, what she said. I didn't get to do that live about her. So, she's a wonderful person. I don't know her personally, but, I grew up in the 80s. I turned 50, so I grew up in the 80s. Ain't no shame in my game. You know what I'm saying? So, love her. We got to support people like that. Support her. Support me. Subscribe to my channel. You know what I mean? I got some new stuff coming. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to get my other little things so y'all can see. That's what I'm working on. I keep trying to work on it, but, okay, bless to you too. I got a question. Some of these people come on here, but, that's why I come on at night. I try to come on during the day, depending on what I got going on. All right. May the God bless you all, and I'll try to come on tonight. I'm trying to do some fun. We don't want to, been bombarded with targeting, but sometimes I do things just so some of the perps know, because some people don't know. A lot of people believe that I don't know about targeting, and I have to work with them. So y'all watch this tonight. All right, it's gonna be funny. All right. May the blessings be to you all. I'm praying for every last one of you that Jesus is here. He's King. All right. See ya. Have a blessed day.